What's up, everybody? Couchmails here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we gotta break down Valorant patch 3.03, which has some really insane changes that might have a huge impact on the meta. And it has some pretty sad news, if I'm being honest. But there's a lot to cover, so let's waste no more time and jump right in. Now, we're gonna kick it off with actually a quick note from the character producer, John Gosinski, who talks about Yoru. His changes are being delayed. And I'm gonna read exactly what he has to say. Quote, "Hey all, wanna touch on the Yoru changes we were hoping to get out by 3.02. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, the team is going to have to indefinitely delay the Yoru update. We're in a situation at the moment where certain resources needed to do this work are unavailable to us. As soon as we get a clearer picture of when we can ship these changes, you'll be the first to know. Sincere apologies to everyone who has been looking forward to these. What we do have is a lineup of new crosshair settings, the ability to shoot through Radiant crates, and a system to make it easier to revert AFK penalties due to the server issues on our end." Now, going back to the Yoru changes really quickly, basically, we're not going to be getting a Yoru change anytime soon. It was speculated to be already out. In fact, it was supposed to be one of the changes that was going to be at the beginning of the episode. However, they say it's an indefinite delay, so they do not know how long it's going to take for them to start working on Yoru again. Now, this is definitely really frustrating because we don't have any timeline about when this H is going to get changed, and in his current state, he's really not that competitive. I mean, you can play him and have fun with him, but as far as playing to win and playing the best character available, he definitely needs that power level update just a little bit. And honestly, if they're not going to do a rework of him for, like, let's say multiple patches from now, or maybe like 4, 5, 6 patches, then maybe they should just up some of his numbers, make him a little bit more powerful the way he is now. I'm not entirely sure. It's just a little frustrating for you Yoru mains. And it's definitely sad that after all this time of no patches, we just come back to the news that Yoru is not going to get changed for a while. I understand it. I get that they don't have the resources, but it can be a little bit frustrating. Speaking of frustrating, if you're frustrated in your games, you got to go to the GameLeap website so that you can learn to pop off and dominate. Now, the next change that we got to talk about is Viper. So specifically, they fixed a bug where Viper's pit started forming at the cursor placement point instead of around Viper. Now, they had this to say about it. Okay, so this is technically a bug fix, but it alters the way Viper Pit is deployed. We accidentally shipped a bug in 3.01 that caused her ultimate to spawn at her placement reticle instead of around her. We know a lot of Viper mains thought that this was an intentional buff and might not be happy about this revert. We're very sorry to cause pain for you all. We think that Viper's Pit can be a very potent tool for holding an area. Given that impact, it's important that her team pays the cost of securing ground before she can place her ult, as opposed to being able to cast it forward into areas without giving up her position. Now, this really mattered because a Viper could hypothetically be pointing it onto point from off a point behind cover. Even if it was ever so slightly, it was all the difference. And knowing that the Viper Pit didn't necessarily come from Viper herself, it was a lot harder for you to potentially spray her as she activated if it just barely covered her LOS. So this is definitely going to be an important aspect of Viper. It's not going to overall change like her tier list or anything like that, but it is definitely something that you Viper players should keep in mind, and for everyone else looking to counter her. Now, for the next change we got to talk about is the crosshair settings. So now you're going to be able to additionally customize your ADS crosshair and your sniper scope center dot, which is pretty damn cool. You're also going to have the ability to save and switch between multiple crosshair profiles. So all of you that like to copy your favorite pros, you can now have an entire catalog of pro crosshairs, your favorite crosshair, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. Now, the last change that I wanted to talk about can actually have a pretty big impact, and it's this specific map update about Radiant crates. It says this, quote, "You can now shoot through Radiant crates with appropriate weapons from all angles. Previously, you could shoot through some crates from limited directions, but not others. Updated zip lines to allow the use key so that you can detach at any point." Now, this is gonna need some specific testing about Radiant crates, but there are a lot of these on many different areas. Think about the one specifically on B-side Ascent, but there's a bunch of these on a lot of different maps, and the problem with these is they were not a very consistent wall bang, but now they are going to be. So not only is it going to be fundamentally different how you're planting, but weapons specifically that have high penetration are going to be even better in a scenario where you have any of these boxes for cover on any site. I mean, let's go back to that Ascent B on site example. If you're ever trying to plant behind the box, an enemy could have something like an ODIN and freaking destroy you. And you got to think about that point. Not only can you hide on the left side behind Radiant Knight boxes that can get wall banged, the corner pocket, that's wall bangable. The Radiant Knight boxes on point are now easily wall bangable, and back of sight is wall bangable. So basically, one Rat of an Omen player can take an ODIN and just completely clear all of sight. And yeah, that sounds pretty scary, and it should sound scary. And we're gonna have to do a little bit of testing, which we'll be doing on this channel, so definitely smash the like, subscribe. But we're gonna see exactly how good this is, how consistent it is, but definitely let me know if you have a fear for the new ODIN LMG meta. But go hit up the comments and let me know what changes you want to see in patch 3.04. Go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for high quality in-depth guides, advanced tips and tricks. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video. I love y'all faces, and I'll see you next time.